Signings, Galacticos, transfer market, who we're going to buy, who we're going to sell. We know you're very interested in this, so we're going to give you a little bit of insight of what we think about some of the players that are in the orbit of Real Madrid.
Rumors.
Of course, Pogba, Lewandowski, now Morata, even Payet, now Kanté. So let's see what we think about each of these guys. Number one, we have Morata. It's definitely, you know, the option that, you know, is part of the club. You know, the club still owns part of the pass of Morata. So what do you think? You see Morata coming back? Would you like Morata in Madrid?
Morata. I'm not a huge Morata fan. I don't want to take anything away from him as a player. I think actually, and the last game that he played with Spain was really great to see him scoring goals. But I don't love him, and I don't know that he'll quite do well in this team. And especially, we don't know if Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be here next season. But with Cristiano Ronaldo, Bale, Benzema, I mean, maybe they'll sell Benzema. I don't exactly know, but I don't see him exactly fitting in that position or doing better as a number 9 than Benzema is doing. And if he has to play off of Cristiano, if Cristiano is here, I don't know how well he'll do in that role. So
yeah, for me the thing with Morata is Morata left because he didn't have that starting role and he wanted to go to another team and, you know, play more minutes. I'm not sure if he would like to come back to assume basically the same role that he had in the role because he left.
Right.
So I don't like Morata very much. I don't think he's a world-class striker. Maybe as a second striker he would be okay, but again, you know, like, does Morata want to come and be a second striker in Real Madrid?
Coming off the bench, you mean?
Exactly, coming off the bench, and so we'll see what happens with Morata. I think that the smartest option for Real Madrid would be, you know, to create a little bit more buzz and hype and sell him for a good price.
I think so too, and I think that there's lots of other clubs that would be interested in having a player like Morata. So if we can bring him back and sell him and make some money and free up some money for our roster for other signings, I think that would be a smart idea. I don't want to take anything away from him as a player. I think he's a good young player, but I just don't think he's a star.
There you go. And then, of course, Lewandowski, Robert Lewandowski, the Polish striker, has been in the orbit of Madrid for the last months. Of course, I think he's going to be in the orbit until he comes or until he retires, if he doesn't come. For me, he's my favorite option. I think, I've said it before, I would replace Benzema for Lewandowski yesterday. But, you know, let's see if the player, I think he's already made some statements that, you know, if Cristiano's here, like, he want to have more of a starring role. So I don't know, how do you see Lewandowski? Do you like the option?
I love Lewandowski. Remember we talked about this in the last Ask RG that I had a dream about this, that I broke the news that he was coming to Real Madrid. But I mean, just seeing him play more in the Euros, I really love what he does. I love his hunger to score goals. He has a big presence on the field, and that's what I really love about him. And especially playing at number 9 position. I agree with you. I love Benzema, but I think that I would trade Lewandowski for Benzema. I think that he's just more of a dangerous offensive presence from minute 1 to minute 90.
Yeah, and especially I think, like, I think that Cristiano is not going to keep producing as many goals as he's been doing for the last years. Maybe Bale is going to, you know, up his scoring game, but we do need to bring a striker that can, you know, add more than 15 or 20 goals to the mix.
Right.
And I think Lewandowski would be the perfect guy for that.
I agree. Benzema scores important goals, but he's, you know, inconsistent, injured often. I don't want to take anything away from him. I love the way he plays off of Cristiano, because I think he makes Cristiano a better player. In terms of, you know, I think playing with Cristiano is difficult, especially this last year. So I don't know. I'd love to have him here, but obviously that would be based on whether Benzema leaves, if Cristiano leaves.
Which, you know, talking about leavings as well, I don't think, well, Benzema is the protege of the president. I think he's going to be in the squad until, you know... Forever. I mean, you know, we're not complaining, but yeah, I would like to see somebody replace Benzema. In my case, Lewandowski would be. And let's talk about Pogba. Pogba is kind of, you know, the hot name right now.
With a hot price tag.
Yeah, with the hot price tag. That's one of the cons for me of the signing of Pogba. Now, you know, without having really done so much, I mean, he's a star in the Juventus. I've won the last 5 Scudettos, but, you know, not only because of Pogba, definitely. And, you know, he's playing a good Euro Cup. You know, he played a good game yesterday, but, you know, he's not being, I mean, 140 million for Pogba, I don't think he's worth it.
Right.
And he wants to get like 30 million a year. I don't think he's worth it. Or not yet. He hasn't proven to be worth that yet.
That's the thing. And I think that coming into a team that already is overloaded with stars in the center, in the midfield, you can't be your asking price can't be $140 million, euro, excuse me, dollars. I always say dollars, but I think that's an absurd price tag. I do think he's a wonderfully skilled player. He's young, which is a great thing, so to have longevity in a player. But at the same time, I don't know that adding him to the mix, can we afford to have Pogba on the bench? is he going, or do we need to sell, and who do we need to sell? So I think really when we're talking about signings, it's what does the team need, and obviously it's great to have that star power, but like you said, they have one good match, and then it's like this, upping the price tag 10 million euro
for a good match,
because he had a great match.
And I think that's the key, like, okay, it would be nice to have Pogba on the squad, but like, who would have to leave? Somebody would have to be on the bench. Like, I wouldn't replace, like, the word now is it would be like Pogba for Kroos.
Okay.
I personally would not change Pogba for Kroos right now.
I mean, maybe I would. I really do like Pogba. But is, I don't know what his character is like. Is he going to be another diva? I don't know. It's just like so many things put into this mix that it's sort of playing with too many variables, I think.
It could end up backfiring, and that would be terrible.
Be a great thing.
Who knows? And I think for me, a very personal opinion here is, I never know. It's never clear to me is if this is, capricho, like a something, a desire of the president is like, okay, this is the hot name right now. We have to bring him. He has to play in Real Madrid. And then telling the managers, like, okay, here is this player. You figure out what to do.
Right. You build your team around him. You build your system around him.
Or if actually what I would love to see is Zidane, designing up a list of players saying, like, this is what I want to do this year. These are the players I need. Forget about the names. Forget about the market price. These are the players I need. After some thorough research, like, bring these players. Right. Or if it's the other way around, it's like, here's Pogba. You figure out what to do.
Right. And my inkling is that it's probably more of this Galactico. Paul Pogba's the name. He's the big player this year. He's the star on the rise. We got to sign him and figure out what to do, just like we did with James.
It's a fair point.
But who knows? But they also might have that French connection, and maybe he has something that he really. I mean, you can't not like Pogba. I think he's great.
Yeah.
But do you need him on your squad?
But I think on this line of players that a team really needs, maybe is probably is the name of Kanté. Probably a very unknown player a couple of years ago, maybe 10 months ago, very few people knew who he was. Did a great season in Leicester, winning the Premier.
Following Leicester, Kanté.
But that's the thing, the thing is maybe Kanté is more of a natural replacement for Casemiro, more than a replacement, like competition. And we have two of the players that definitely Zidane is proving to like, in his format of playing. So bringing Kanté is a player that is like another Casemiro, and now we would have two. Right. I think that signing, footballistically speaking, that would make more sense.
I agree.
But of course, Kanté doesn't have the star market power.
Well, but I think that's okay, because I think sometimes you need to sign players. The player that you need in that position, in fill positions. Yeah. Casemiro has been key this season. I think there are better defensive center midfielders than Casemiro, and that being Real Madrid, having the amount of money that they have to spend on players, can afford to spend on any better defensive center midfielder. And I really did love Kanté this season. This guy is a little motor, never stops running, and the way that he works so hard. And I think that's exactly the type of player that we need, just like Casemiro. Not to say Casemiro doesn't run, but I really did like him at Leicester this season. I'm liking him right now with the French national team.
True. And he's the little engine that could.
Little engine that could. So I think Kanté would be a great signing, and obviously would be competition for Casemiro, which maybe wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, I think it would be a good thing, because of course, if we're gonna be serious about competing for 3 important tournaments, we need more than 11 players.
Right.
And we need maybe not 11 star players and replacements. We need 15 or 16 star players. Not star, but titulares, able to start.
Players that are able to start and can take on that. And when you replace a player, this player comes off, or you're moving players around, it's not bringing down the level. You're not saying,
exactly.
This time we have to play with Toni Kroos in the center midfield, or as defensive center midfielder, we have no idea how he's going to play. I think that it'll be good for Casemiro also to have competition in that position, in someone that's playing that natural position, to make him better, because he knows this spot isn't mine fully.
Yeah, and another one of the names that is sounding, I think this goes in the line of, kind of surprises everybody with some good games, is Dimitri Payet. This guy is definitely a crack. He had a great season at West Ham.
Cracking season.
Yeah, and he's kind of saving France in this Euro Cup so far. But I think this is one of the players that, is in the orbit of Real Madrid because of that. But I think, maybe his time realistically has passed to sign for Real Madrid. I think we already have a lot of players in that position.
Are very similar as well.
We've kind of conflict with James or Isco, and what do we do? So bringing another guy that could fill in that role, I think it'd be too much. I don't think Payet is just going to be rumors.
I think you're right. I mean, I do also really enjoy the way he plays, but he is very similar to James. similar in playing style to Isco, but I think with more goal, with better shot, with better finishing abilities. But like you said, how old is Payet? 29, and so we wouldn't get that many years out of him. It wouldn't really make sense to bring on a very similar player to players we already have that are sitting on the bench. So
yeah, and of course, if you brought Payet right now after the Euro Cup, it would be like some kind of a Galacticos signing. Would have to pay a lot of money for him, so I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
You wouldn't get that much time out of him, and then you'd have to sell him, and you probably wouldn't get what you paid out of him. So think about it in a business aspect. It's probably not the best move.
It's probably not the best move. Of course, guys, just want to know what you think about these signings. Like, who would you bring? Who would you sell? We're going to be talking about signings all summer long. You know, see what happens. You know,
they'll say Alaba.
Alaba, a lot of people say about Alaba. We'll talk about Alaba in more videos. So far, you know, this is what we think about these people that are, again, in the orbit of Real Madrid. Let us know what you think. Who would you bring? Who would you sell? And give us a like and subscribe.
And would you bring or sell the players that who would you bring? Would you bring the players that we just talked about?
Exactly. Yeah, and why or why not? And we'll see you tomorrow.